Hello, everyone. Good morning. Well, it's morning here in the UK, in Devon, where I'm recording this. This is pretty much my first video where I speak to an imaginary crowd, and mainly I do this to do it in English. My private life is very much happening in English since decades. And over the last 25 years, I have been working much more in German, also online. So, in the German speaking part of the world, I'm known as a spiritual teacher. And the little quotation marks always come because I don't quite like that expression, spiritual teacher. What can I even teach? What do I have to teach anyone spiritually? But yes, I accept the term as a technical term for what I have been doing and still do. And there are also therapeutic aspects to my work and healing aspects to my work. And I'm not here to sell you something, but it's time for me to introduce myself in English. So, who am I and what am I doing? Um, Now I got my knickers in the twist, as the British say. I put the who am I question a little on the waiting shelf. I get back to that later. And I start with what I do. I have been working with people since the mid 80s, at first as a teacher and choreographer for modern expressive dance, also classical dance, folk, show. And then, due to a series of events in the personal life and also with this body, I changed and learned healing work. I had to heal my own body and found at the time a magnificent method that helped me avoid an operation on my spine and helped me heal a pretty damaged knee. And that method was called Tibetan pulsing. So I decided to learn that after it had helped me. And along the way, I had been very, very much interested in finding someone who teaches the truth about the human nature and about love and about the big questions and the big themes in life. And I was lucky to come across this guy that was then called Bhagwan Sri Vajneesh. I came across his picture in a discotheque after 4 hours of dancing nonstop. I was also going dancing privately, not only professionally. And I saw a picture of this guy on the wall. And a funny thing happened. I kind of fell in love in a heartful way, not interested so much personally or physically or sexually. I just fell in love with his picture. And I got some books and I asked people in that discotheque, they knew him, who that is and what he's doing. And that was Bhagwan Sri Vajneesh, and later and now much better known under the name of Osho. So I was very fortunate to spend quite some years around him while he was still in the body and drink from his presence and learn through his words and his silences, and also learn and study and absorb the techniques and the therapeutic methods that evolved around him. So thanks to Osho. He imprinted my paths and, of course, influenced what I'm doing nowadays. And also during my time in India, I spent most of 13 years in India studying and learning meditation and spiritual therapy and all sorts of healing techniques. Foremost the Tibetan pulsing, which I mentioned already. During that time, I also was present when Osho left his body, which was a big and very deeply touching and revealing event. I guess I make another little video on that one. And after he had left, I was still continuing and completing my education in Tibetan pulsing and other things. I also had an opportunity to meet another teacher, and this was in 91, in December 91 in Lucknow. This is HWL Punja, much better known as Papaji. And in Papaji's presence and in his laughter, I entered what's called a samadhi state, and that lasted 10 days and nights. Wow, that was a great spiritual experience, and it ended. The great, blissful, egoless, floating, easygoing super state ended by noticing two things. One was I was still wanting to meet Mr. Right. I was still looking for my partner. And there was talk that if people stayed too long away from the Pune ashram and from Osho's place, and if they were engaged too much and too passionately with other teachers, then we couldn't return to our jobs there and work there. So that set me on fire. And my mind came back and concluded, whoa, when you are afraid of the gates closing in Pune and you still have that strong desire for a partner, then whatever happened here in these 10 days, that can't be it. That's not complete. The I is back. And I turned my back on that experience, belittled it a bit, tried to wiggle out of its influence, which wasn't quite possible. But I went back into that place of owning me and my story, being the owner of me and my story, this thing here. It just crosses my mind that in the gene keys, that would be the shadow of the 10th key, the self-obsession with one's own inner world and story. Here we go. That's another method I detected, that came to me. I detected, what a funny word. Don't even know if that's correct, but I leave it here. I found that method only 4 or 5 years ago and began to be interested in it. It describes so accurately our shadow sides and our gifts and our city consciousness, our enlightened consciousness, the enlightened versions of us, all the three stages. And we come from the shadows and grow into the light. So here it came. There were the gene keys. I don't have a script. I'm just freely talking in this moment and sharing with you whatever it is that comes up. So, with my journey meeting these two masters and spiritual teachers, about 8 years after that event in Lucknow with the 10-day Samadhi state, it so happened in a beautiful, silent, quiet morning, sipping a cup of herbal tea behind the Buddha hall, a revelation happened, rather non-dramatically. I saw that I saw nothing. That the I does not really exist, that the seeing and the seen is one, and I became the sunlight dancing on the leaves of the bamboo, and the little cat that came running by. I am the cat, I am that light, I am the bamboo and the trees, and the pond and the lotus flowers in the pond. I am all of this and none of it, the no thingness. Well, that is somehow how it fits into words. It was a clear realization that the I, me, mine is an illusion, that there is a mechanism that says I, and it navigates a lot of other objects in the mind and in the outer world, but it's not of any substance. It's not really a separate entity of any kind. There's this body mind system existing, and consciousness is experiencing experiences through this body mind machine, and I am not needed for that. It's just a happening. So that was a shift for me that didn't allow, no matter how much I tried in certain moments, it did not allow to fully re-own the place of ownership of me and my story. That didn't quite work anymore. And with this, the possibility opened to live true to the truth, whatever that means. I didn't know how that's going to work, and I didn't need to know how. I had fully committed my whole self to it already so many times and meant it. And now that which can succeed or fail, that was suddenly, whew, it had left the building. I assumed that it could come back. And yes, it can. That mechanism that identifies, it can come back and introduces itself by producing all sorts of tensions. That's how we can see it. And then invite it to be here and be it, be that too. The human experience is such a multitude of possibilities. And like most of my friends on the path, I had also imagined that enlightened states meant that all sorts of hardship wouldn't occur anymore. What I can say now, 25 years later, is that I was never really able to find the beginning of my problems, really. Problems have no real beginning, but they certainly have an end. And with awakening, it's the other way round. It has a beginning and it doesn't seem to have an end. It's an unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. And I never thought, I am enlightened. I don't know what that is, honestly. I feel somehow sense that what Osho has represented was yet a bit different than what has happened to me in that shift of realizing that the I, me, mine story owner is an illusion. And that within every experiencing of the human possibilities, within it, in the middle of it, is silence, is peace, is love, is truth. We don't have to become something else or someone else first. We don't have to change ourselves and try to be something that is not on offer from within. And so, in this way, I have been using my toolbox, which is rich and full with many therapeutic and healing methods, and I use them when it's applicable, when I have the feeling that reason and that little tool and that key is now helping this person. I love one-on-one work, and I also love group work and sharing in communal situations. And the main two methods my heart is beating for are the Tibetan pulsing, which is a work with touch and sound. it literally brings the light and the sound of wisdom through touch and certain tuned music into the nervous system. Ha! And that helps you transform while you relax. And the other work, the other method that I really like a lot is the gene keys. And both of them meet with their roots in the I Ching. I'm not explaining all of that now. Whether I could or not is another question. But that's the two tools I like a lot and I use a lot. But my main allegiance, my trust, my deep tool is with presence in this moment and trusting that when we're fully here and now, awake, aware, available, allowing life to be you as you are in this moment, that is helping us to carve out who we truly are in this incarnation. So, yes, there is what's called spiritual teaching. And even more than that, I love to be silent, quiet, to contemplate, to listen to life, to pause. Ah, listening into the void, listening into space, listening into this body, listening into my friends when they are around, listening into you when we meet. Listening is my best tool. I pause it here. Maybe something else is coming, then I can record a little more.